Hello ladies and gentlemen. This is my primer, which I'm gonna start with right away so I don't talk too much and never actually get to the makeup. It is the ho-ho holidays and I thought what better way to get in the festive mood than telling you guys about what was probably the worst Christmas I ever had. The year was 2013 and I had just finished my first year of high school and I was looking forward to going to grade 9. Because here where we are, high school starts in grade 8 and finishes in grade 12. I know y'all Americans do things differently. So I was still relatively young. At this point, I was staying with my mom and my two sisters, and as is to be expected from a young teen, I did not get along with my mom at all. And I very much remember this because my mom and I were fighting that day. I don't know about what, but I remember we were in the shops doing like gift shopping and stuff like that, and we were arguing about something. And then my mom walked off ahead and I kind of stuck back with my older sister. You know, we were doing that thing where you kind of huff at your parent for being difficult. And to kind of change the topic, I told her my right side has been hurting all day and it's actually only getting worse. And I really wanted to go home because it was starting to hurt and I didn't want to stand up anymore. And she gave me some kind of a, oh geez, I hope it goes away answer, because there wasn't much you could really do about it. Half of you already know where this is going. But after walking around in the shops, we went home and I really don't remember what my mom and I were arguing about, but it was something big because we were still arguing about it later that day. And at this point, I was lying on the couch because I was in so much pain. I didn't want to stand anymore. We were standing and arguing in the kitchen and I went to the lounge to lie down because I couldn't stand. It hurt that bad. And I started crying because number one, I was upset, and number two, it was really that sore. And my mom, because we were busy fighting, just assumed I was crying for attention, and she told me I can turn the tears off. It's not gonna change anything. I should get over myself. And I was like, no, I'm really in pain. I'm genuinely not having a good time. And my mom was kind of like, yeah, sure you are. You just don't want to have this conversation. I was just not mad. Now it makes me mad because in hindsight, you're supposed to listen to your kid when they tell you you're in pain. But at that point, I felt so hopeless, but in a very neutral kind of way, I can't do anything about this. I just have to wait this out. It sucks, but this is where I am right now. I also didn't want to eat that night because I told my mom I wasn't feeling well. And again, I got a get over yourself, nothing's wrong type of answer. So I ate something to kind of just get my mom off my case, but nothing really because I was kind of feeling nauseous. I wasn't having a good time. And then that whole night, I was in so much pain that I couldn't sleep, which in hindsight, not everything's hindsight, but afterwards I learned that humans have a specific pain threshold, and that anything below this pain threshold you can sleep through, it won't wake you up if it happens while you're sleeping, or you can fall asleep with it, and anything above that pain threshold you can't fall asleep. And I'm assuming this comes from some type of evolutionary thing where if you hurt that much, something is severely wrong, so you can't sleep, you might just die. So your body keeps yourself up because something is that wrong. So I was miserable all throughout the night. While everyone else was getting cozy in bed, thinking, man, Santa's coming soon, I was just there I can't sleep. I'm so tired. Everything hurts. No position I lie in makes it any better. I ended up throwing up at some point. I remember lying in bed and I was kind of that dizzy type of nauseous where you can feel it coming and you're really hoping it's not gonna come, but by the way you can feel it, it's coming, it's real. You're not just nauseous, it's gonna come out. So the middle of the night, whatever little bit I'd eaten had come right back out, and I let my mom know that I was throwing up, and she was like, yeah, you'll be fine, just get into bed. So I ended up lying in bed with my mom, but I couldn't sleep. I was restless, I was moving around because I was still in pain, and I was still actively nauseous. I think I threw up 3 more times that night. I remember one of the times it was already getting light out and I was just this has really been the whole night. My whole night has been like this. I haven't slept and I'm still throwing up. Things are not getting better. Luckily, things did get a little better in the sense that by the time the sun was up, I wasn't throwing up anymore, but I think a part of that was I didn't have anything else to throw up. And my mom has this couch outside on her porch and she made breakfast for everyone and she was trying really hard to have a nice Saturday morning. And I was just sitting there on the couch, still in pain. I know my older sister, she was starting to get worried. My younger sister at this point was probably 10 years old, so I don't think she knew what to do because I don't remember her being there much. But my older sister was 16, and I do remember her getting concerned at a point and her being like, yo, mom, maybe we should actually do something about this. Luckily, the next morning, she wasn't very happy that she didn't sleep much with me throwing up the whole time. But she seemed to realize this was something real and she should probably have me checked out because I didn't get any more comments about how I was faking it. And whatever we were arguing about wasn't that important anymore, so that was nice. But I had a phone at this point. Obviously all teenagers have phones. And we had this one family friend who is no longer a family friend, but let's call him Adam. I was talking to Adam at the point, and he was a bit older, and I told him, yeah, I was arguing with my mom, and I told him something was wrong, and he came over that next morning to check on me. And it wasn't unusual for him to be there because he came over often, and he told my mom like, yo, I'm worried, we should take her to the hospital or something. And I remember hearing hospital and being like, it can't, like, yeah, this is bad, but it's not that bad. Like, you don't go to the hospital unless you're dying. But then a bit later, I was like, you know what? Yeah, like, who else you're gonna go to? A hospital is probably not a bad idea. And Adam was pushing that we actually go to the hospital, to the point that my mom was like, thanks, you can leave now, because she still wanted to do her morning and finish her own things. Because she still didn't think it was anything too serious. So she was just like, no, we're not gonna go to the hospital. ER is only open at 10 in any ways, which the point of an emergency room is that it's open 24/7. I don't know where my mom got this notion that it only opens at 10. Maybe your regular doctor only opens at 10, but the ER is the ER and it's open for emergencies. But anyways, I remember her saying, oh, they only open at 10, and being like, oh, okay. It was the first confirmation I got that she was intending on taking me somewhere to get looked at. So I was actually relieved to hear she wanted to go somewhere by 10. I think at some point I took pain meds, some normal like headache pills or something, and they did nothing for me because I don't remember the pain going away. So eventually we got into the car and we went to a nearby government hospital. And the logic was that there's probably nothing wrong, so let's not pay a hospital bill just to find out I'm fine. Let's go to a government place where it's free and then we can move on with our lives. So we got there, they assessed me, they give you a thing pretty much indicating what level of risk you are and how urgently you need to be seen. If you're like green, it's nothing severe, they can see you tomorrow. If it's red, like you're dying and they're taking you straight through. I got a nice little orange and I ended up waiting a number of hours, which I know is a part of using government services. You're gonna wait, but that part was not fun. I was still in as much pain as I was the night before, and I was tired because I hadn't slept the night before. But I was sitting there in a busy waiting room with my mom, and my mom was a busybody. She made friends with a lot of people. She spoke to all the people around her. She spoke to these two biker dudes who, in my opinion, were there hoping to get drugs from the nurses because they were like, oh yeah, I totally have whiplash. I like fell off my motorcycle, didn't really get a scratch though, but I got really hurt, so I need some pain meds. You think you can give me anything? And then they hung around in the waiting room. Not good to know people like that exist, but because my mom was a friendly person who says hi when you say hi, they started talking to her, and at some point they asked my mom if she can like give them the meds they give me if they give me anything. And then my mom was like, okay, these people are weird, I don't want to talk to you guys anymore, can you please back off? And they eventually did. But that's the only thing I remember from the waiting room. And also I remember my mom telling me like, are you sure it's sore? Are you sure it's that bad? Can't we just leave? We're gonna be here for hours, can't we just leave? And at this point I was very done with life in general, so I was just like, no, we're staying, we're here, I want to know what's up. Yes, it is actually sore, I'm not kidding, let's just stay here. Then they finally had me go through to the back and they were like, okay, let's check you out. Ended up with a male nurse who was a little inappropriate. I wasn't a fan of this guy. Had he come across my path today, that man would have been reported, but he did everything he had to do. He said, okay, something's clearly wrong, we're gonna send you for a sonar, and he gave me a drip. And here's where he didn't know what he was doing, right? I was wearing this little sailor type dress, so it had navy blue, white stripes on it. And what he did was, he had to put a needle in me, right? And like, if you don't like needles, you want to skip ahead a bit here, right? He wanted to put it in here, not on top of my hand. So I bent my hand and he put it in, right? And the needle just came out the other side. And he was like, oh, shoot, it's not supposed to do that. And then he took it back and then he like wiggled it around a bit like this until it went in where it was supposed to. And I was just sitting there like, yeah, needles hurt if you wiggle them around like that, man. And then he got it in and then he left it. Like he just let go and turned around to get the tube, right? And effectively what he had done is he had opened a little pathway for the blood inside one of my blood vessels to get outside. So the second he released pressure, it just started gushing blood as my heart was pumping blood because the blood could now go out. And I was just like, oh, okay, shoot, this is happening. And he immediately was like, oh, damn, pushed on it, bent my wrist so I could feel the thing moving. It was not very fun. And then he had the tube and he plugged the tube in and it stopped doing that. But now I had blood all over my pretty little dress with white. So we went to the sonar. They took me to another room, laid me down, did all the jelly stuff, took the thing, moved it around, pressed right where it hurt, man. They like really dug that thing in there. I did not enjoy that part. And my mom was the one tearing up. So I was like, Mom, what? And she just like, my first kid is getting a sonar. This is not how I thought it would happen. And I was like, Mom, I'm not pregnant. It's not the same thing. And she's like, yeah, but still. And I was just like, I'm too tired for any of this. Hold up, I want tape for what I'm doing. I did in my last video and I didn't have to worry about blending. Oh, but I did. Never mind, I'm not using tape. I'm picking up Guilt Trip from my Urban Decay Born to Run palette for whoever's interested in the makeup I'm doing. And it was at this point that we found out it was my appendix because the lady said, yeah, your appendix is swollen. Your appendix is near the junction of your thin intestine and your thick intestine, and that passageway is attached to like the inside of the appendix. It can swell there due to microbial activity and stuff like that, and then it risks bursting, and then you have a big problem. Or the tissue making up the appendix, the outside part, that can get inflamed and swell. And that's the version of it that I had. So luckily there was no risk of it popping on me, but it had to get out. And then they sent us back to the waiting room. At this point, I had morphine in me. That's what they put in the drip, and everything was starting to feel better. I didn't have pain anymore. I was just tired. But we were still moving around. They gave me the rundown. They're like, you're gonna have an operation, sweetheart. Please don't eat anything. Please don't drink anything. You're gonna have it later today. And I was like, cool. My mom at this point, oh my gosh, she said, can't we just go? Now we know what's wrong. Let's go do stuff and then we can come back tomorrow and deal with it. And I was like, Mom, what part of I need a surgery do you not understand? And then she snapped at me and said, I bought tickets for something today and I don't want to waste the cash on the tickets. Can't we just come back and do this tomorrow? It was some type of like on ice show or something that I didn't go to. I ended up not seeing it. But I remember, oh, I was so mad at that moment. I was like, no freaking show matters to me right now. I am dying. I don't even know if my mom saw her show. I don't know if she missed it or not. Because I don't know what time it was or anything. No one told me about it afterwards, really. Oh, my Fallout game is strong today. Should have just gotten that tape. But I remember, because the morphine was starting to kick in, I was finally able to fall asleep. So they put me in a hospital bed. I don't know what I was wearing. Like, I don't know if I put on a different gown or not. I don't know if I was still wearing my cute little dress from earlier. But I remember I was lying in a hospital bed and my mom was like nervous talking because she was stressed about the fact that I was gonna go in for an operation. And then she started telling me about like when she had a C-section when we were born, and she's like, yeah, and it's gonna hurt where they have the stitches and it's gonna hurt for so long afterwards and you're gonna be able to feel the cut and you can't move, and if you like to lift anything you feel it. And I was just like, I think now I appreciate it. She was kind of preparing me for it, and kind of herself, she knows that I know what I'm going into. But I was lying there half dozing off and thinking, why are you trying to scare me? Like, I don't need to know this. I just know I'm going for an operation. Just don't freak me out about it right now. Let's just get this done with. Oh, another thing I remember is my mom gave me gum at some point, which no, don't eat gum when you're not supposed to eat anything. Don't eat anything means don't eat anything. But they ended up taking me to the surgery. A part that freaked me out, right, was the lady asked me, how much do you weigh? Because they need that information for the sedation, right? I was like, maybe like 60, 70. What number is a normal weight for a human? And the lady was like, oh, I guess I'll just guess something. And I was like, isn't there a scale or something? My teacher had told me once, right, when they put you under, you can't even like count the tiles on the roof. You're just gone before you hit 10, right? And I remember thinking, I should try and count. I should do that. I should see how this stuff affects me. But they started prepping me. I was asking questions. I don't remember what questions I was asking, but I was asking questions. I remember there was one nice person who was actually answering me and whatnot. So I was talking to someone, but the last thing I remember, someone started jamming Christmas music, and everyone like in the operating hall who was gonna work on me, they were like getting in the groove and dancing along, and I was like, shouldn't you be pretending to be professional at least while I'm still awake? And then I was gone. And so my last thought was a little stressful. about they're all just jiving to Christmas music while they're gonna operate on me. But I guess if you're gonna be in there for a while, you might just as well have a good time. Why does it feel like none of my purples are purple enough for this? I remember when I woke up, they were busy moving me, like they were pushing me along. And I went from like a bright place to a darker hallway, and my dad was in that hallway. He like came right to the side and he said hi or something. He was talking to me, and the first thing I did is I like pulled myself up, leaned over and puked on his shoes. And my dad was just like, I guess that happened now. And I passed out again. And later I found out the reason I threw up on my dad's shoes is because I ate gum beforehand. By the way, the reason the physician tells you don't eat anything before an operation is when they put you under, you risk throwing up everything you've eaten, and then you're kind of lying there and you obviously can't do anything. And if they don't notice you throwing up, because it's not necessarily loud, you're just lying there and it's coming up, you can end up choking on your own vomit. So it really is in your best interest to not eat something before an operation. They're not just trying to rain on your parade. But I passed out again. They put me in a room. I wasn't alone. I think there were 2 other people I know of. I think there was like a total of 6 beds, 4 beds. I'm not entirely sure. But I was in there and I woke up a few times and passed out again. I was under for a few days, hey? Like at least 2 days after my operation, I wasn't fully aware. I was sleeping most of the day. I know my dad was there every time I woke up. And that was very nice because I was sleeping. Like, well, what was he there for? But he was there every time. I know my mom and sisters, they were there once or twice. I do remember seeing them. But I remember them telling me I'm sleeping the whole time, so they won't be here again tomorrow. And I was kind of like, I'm not awake right now, so cool. And oh my gosh, this one time, while my dad was there, he was just like sitting next to my bed. Those biker dudes from earlier pitched, acting very nice and everything, and asked for my mom's number. Straight up, these 2 creeps found me in a hospital and asked my mom's number. And they remembered stuff we had told them, so they arrived with a box of my favorite candy, and I was just like, okay, this is weird, Dad, I'm glad you're here. I don't want to have these people here alone. And they asked who my dad was, and he was like, I'm the dad. And they were like, oh, okay, can I get your mom's number? Like, what? This kid is in hospital recovering from a surgery, which means I need my pain meds. I can't give them to you. No, I'm not gonna give you my mom's number. And they were very nice, and they were like, oh, okay, well, if you change your mind, let us know. Hope you get better. They also gave me like a necklace, and I still have that thing. And if I didn't have that thing, honestly, I wouldn't have believed it actually happened. Because how bizarre. There should be some type of security. I'm sure these days there's more security, because that was not cool. So while everyone else in the world was running around and getting last minute Christmas gifts, I was dealing with some randos next to my bed. Anyways, I was in there for a bit. I remember them waking me up to give me like pain meds and stuff. And I was like, why do you wake me up? Like, I'm not in pain if I'm sleeping. Why do you wake me up? But now I know it was for antibiotics, and antibiotics you have to give at regular time intervals. So that's what they're waking me up for. I remember I had like this pouch attached so it could drain. And that was actually pretty gross. And I remember when they removed the pouch. Oh, that is a thing that I will never forget. They pulled it off. It was a sticker. It stung a bit when they pulled it off. And then they had to pull the tube out. Now I was kind of like in the moment because it was all happening so fast. And I was like, wait, I still want to ask questions. I'm like, I'm not ready. And they just like pulled it off and pulled the tube out. And when they pulled the tube out, like I swear, I could feel the tip of the tube like move on the inside. So I could feel something like tickling on the inside. And I was just like, oh my gosh. But that is jumping ahead a little bit. I also remember I wasn't eating anything because I had just had an operation on my guts, so my guts can't be digesting, so they didn't give me anything to eat, which was whatever, because I remember the doctor came to do her rounds and check on me, and she was like, hey, cool, and how did eating your food go? Did you have your first solid poop and stuff like that? And I was like, no, I haven't eaten anything. And she's like, what do you mean you haven't eaten anything? And I was like, they told me I can't eat anything. And she was like, you have to eat something. And then I got some stale hospital food afterwards, which was nice. And it was weird because I was like, yo, I can eat again. So yeah, they forgot to feed me for a few days. That was fun. But for a bit of a sad memory, I remember at some point I was really bored, and it was Christmas Eve, and they were very nice. On Christmas Day, they came and handed out candy to us and stuff like that. And I was gonna be released on Christmas Day, so I was looking forward to it. But on Christmas Eve, I was sitting there alone. So I used my phone to call my best friend from primary school. We'd went to different high schools, so we didn't talk that much anymore, but I called her and I was like, hey, where are you? And she's like, I'm at the beach on holiday, where are you? And I was like, oh, I'm in hospital, tee-hee. Anyways, Merry Christmas. And she was very concerned. She's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And I'm like, oh yeah, just recovering, but thought I'd just say hi, bye, and that was it. And afterwards I had to call my own family because no one called me. And I remember calling them and I was like, hey, y'all, I'm just vibing here. They're like, oh, hi. We're doing Christmas things. We're about to like unwrap gifts and stuff. And I was like, okay, sounds like fun. I won't hold y'all back. And I was sitting like in the bathroom and I was like crying. And I was like, I'm alone on Christmas. Still gets me in the feels, man. But on to happier things, I was released the next day. Anyways, liner and lashes is gonna happen off screen because I am talking way too much. But yeah, like I said, the next day they just shipped me off home with a bunch of meds. 2 more things I want to tell you guys about before we leave the hospital is number 1, I remember I was wearing a hospital gown and I was walking in the hallway because I was bored, so I was walking around. And I was walking very skewed because I was in pain and I couldn't stand straight, so I was leaning to one side. And I was kind of holding my thing closed because I didn't want to close. And then he saw me and he was like, oh, what are you doing? Are you allowed to be moving around and stuff? And I was like, well, I feel fine, so I'm moving around. And I also told him I couldn't figure out how this gown was supposed to close. And he was like, oh, well, you're supposed to have a hole for this string to go through here, then you just tighten it. And I didn't have a hole there, so he's very nice to whip out a pocket knife, make a little hole for me that I can actually tie my gown. And I was like, oh, that's so much better. And I also remember when they took that tube out, it left like a hole, like an almost centimeter wide hole, right? And I asked them, are they gonna do anything about it? Like, are you gonna close it? Because she just took it out and went, okay, you're good to go. And I was like, and now? And she was like, oh no, it'll close itself. And I just looked at it like, I couldn't really see in myself, obviously, but it was like such thick skin. And I looked at it and I was like, you're just gonna leave that? And she was like, yeah, it'll be fine. And I was like, okay. They put a sticker over it. Those plasters were pretty gross. I had to change them every day. But sure enough, the hole closed, and now I have a big scar to prove it was there. It kind of closed from the inside out, so like it like flattened, it filled up from the inside out. It was actually pretty cool to watch it heal. But now I'm gonna put some gloss on these lips and pretend the way I overlined them looks fine, and then that is it for the makeup. I'm gonna make like 2 little ponytails. I then went home to my dad's house after the hospital with stitches and everything in the big cut where they actually took things out. Because this happened in the years before keyhole surgeries and before they learned to put it low enough that your bikini hides it. Mine's very visible. Anyways, we got back to my dad's house, first day, kind of just chilling. And I think that night, like I was in bed, snoozing, my dad wakes me up at like 3 in the morning. He was like, hey, do you want to go to the beach? I was like, yeah, I want to go to the beach, why? And my dad was like, okay, cool, then get in the car. And then we went to the beach. Which is a fun end to that story. We had a few issues with the medication they gave me and whatnot. But I could talk about that for a while, and I don't want this to get too long. I say as if it isn't already too long. And then this is the final result, and that was the story of the worst Christmas I have ever had. Rest assured that this Christmas is gonna be much better. I'm going up to the neighbor's parents' farm again, and we're gonna be spending Christmas there together. We already did all our gift shopping. I'm looking forward to wrapping and vlogging all of that stuff. But I'm glad I got to share this with you guys today. It's a video I've been wanting to make for a long time. I've always wanted to talk about my one hospital experience, and today I gotta do it. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I'll be making more storytime videos like these. I have fun doing them. But on that note, I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I hope you have wonderful holidays for whatever you celebrate, and then I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye!